If you've got a Samsung TV from Series 5 onwards with an edge-lit display, then you might well see a vertical dark shadow on one side or in the centre of your screen. This is most commonly caused by a failure of the edge-lit LED backlights. Because these edge-lit Samsung TVs do not have standard backlights covering the entire back panel, but instead have one strip of LEDs along both the top and bottom of the TV, which project the light via a series of diffusers and reflectors to cover the entire screen. And a failure of either one of these will therefore cause a vertical dark shadow on your screen, while you'd expect a horizontal dark shadow on older Samsung TVs that have traditional strip backlights. But because replacing the backlight is a little labour intensive, there's a few additional steps and it makes the run through first, just to make sure that the problem isn't software related. Other than backlight failure, the most common causes of the vertical black shadow is either a software glitch, which a power cycle should be able to reset, or changes in the backlight tolerance caused by firmware updates. So firmware updates can change the tolerance settings on the backlights and reset any brightness personalizations. So it's always worth just going into the picture menu first and checking that these backlight tolerances are set correctly before opening up your TV and looking at the backlights. It's also possible to check on even more backlight settings from the service menu, which you can usually access by turning your TV off and then pressing mute 118 on the remote and then power. I have another video linked in the top right which will show you all of the ways to access the service menu if you want to change the PWM settings or any other backlight settings. So first of all, just try cold booting your TV in case there's any software gremlins that are causing the issue. So switch off and unplug your TV, hold down the physical power button for at least 15 seconds, then wait for another 30 minutes for any residual power to drain from the TV's capacitors, and then plug your TV back in and try switching it on again. It's also worth just checking that the firmware is up to date, and you can find the firmware update in Settings, and then Support and Software Update. Make sure that Auto Update is on, and you can also check now for any software updates on some TV models. Most recent Samsung TVs also have an option to run a picture test, which will help check if any of the picture settings are causing the dark shadow that you're seeing. So for TVs made before 2021, then go to Settings, Support, Self-Diagnosis and Picture Test. And for TVs made after 2021, go to Settings, Device Care, Self-Diagnosis and Picture Test, and then follow the on-screen instructions and see if anything comes up that will give you a reason why you're seeing the dark shadow on your TV. You can also try manually changing the picture settings. So there's plenty in the Expert Settings submenu of the picture menu, and you can try changing backlight brightness and contrast to see if that helps. There's also a reset picture at the bottom. And you also might want to try switching off ambient light detection, energy saving mode and motion lighting, which are in the general and eco solution menu, in case any of these are causing your problem. If you still have a dark shadow on one side or in the centre of your screen after going through these steps, then you know that you have a backlight issue. Backlights on non-edge-lit Samsung TVs come in LED strips of varying lengths, with the LED strips connected in series to cover the entire width of your TV. Samsung edge-lit TVs differ from these in that they have a single LED strip at the top and another one at the bottom of the frame, which projects light vertically, covering the entire screen thanks to a series of reflectors and diffuser sheets, whereas the traditional backlights just project the light forward through the screen. So this means that the edge-lit TVs only have two strips of LEDs, unlike the multiple strips of LEDs of traditional TVs. And so this means that failure of one of these strips of LEDs or of 2 or 3 LEDs on one strip will cause a much greater dark shadow than you would see on a traditional backlit TV if only 2 or 3 LEDs had failed. This failure is often due to thermal degradation of the LEDs caused by repeated current overpowering. So this is usually because when your TV comes home from the factory, the backlight is set at 100 or set at a very high setting, and over time this causes the thermal degradation of the LEDs. So in future, to prevent backlight burnout, I would advise setting the backlight as low as you can get away with and still have a decent picture, and that should prolong the lifespan of the LEDs. But in this case, if you're already seeing the dark shadow, then you'll just need to replace the LED strips. It's actually pretty easy to do, although the LEDs are located in the most difficult to access part of your TV. So to fix the failed backlight, you'll need to drain the power from your TV. So unplug your TV, hold down the power button, wait for a few minutes to let any power drain, and then open your TV by unscrewing the screws in the back panel. You'll then see a power board and a T-con and a main board. On some models you might find that the T-con is integrated into the main board, but you can identify that by the 2 ribbon cables going to it. The main board controls all the main logic of your TV and is where your input and output cables go in, so any HDMI cables will plug directly into the main board. The power board is where the power cable goes in and provides power for your TV, and the T-con translate the picture signal from the main board into something that your panel can display. So you'll most likely need to carefully remove each of these boards and remove all of the cables connecting them. Some cables will just have a little catch that you can undo, and others you should be able to just gently pull out. You can then remove the frame from your TV and access the LEDs to replace them. And I've included a link to a video here which will show you exactly how to replace these LEDs. There's also some more tips on how to do all of this in the linked article below.